If LA County was its own nation on the list of global economies, where do you think it would rank in the top 100 economies? Los Angeles County, in and of itself, would be the 19th largest economy in the world, with over $500 billion of annual economic activity. So one of the questions I get asked a lot when we talk about the need for a strategic plan is, why does the 19th largest economy in the world even need a strategic plan for economic development? The fact of the matter is, we have not created nearly enough jobs to sustain our growing population. This slide is one of the most important ones we'll share this morning. The state of California, the county of Los Angeles, and the city of Los Angeles, the largest city in our county and state, have substantially underperformed over the last 3 decades in job creation. The state has only created 4.3 million jobs for an increased population of 14.7 million people. The county's only created about 457,000 jobs for an increased population of 2.8 million people. The city of LA, which is 40% of our county's population, added 40% of its population growth since 1980, or about 1 million people. But it didn't add any of the county's job growth. Though the county added 457,000 jobs since 1980, the city of LA actually lost jobs during that period. This is what motivated the need for a strategic plan for economic development, to ensure that we are attracting, retaining, and growing enough businesses to create enough jobs for the people of our communities. All throughout the county, we conducted meetings with the help of business organizations like this, economic development organizations, governments, councils of government, universities and colleges, labor organizations, environmental groups, environmental justice groups, nonprofits, community-based organizations. More than 1,000 stakeholder organizations were represented in 26 public workshops. The plan has 5 core aspirational goals, under which there are 12 objectives and 52 specific strategies. The 5 core aspirational goals are really simple and really commonsensical. You must have a well-educated workforce. You must provide a business-friendly environment. We must enhance our quality of life. We must use our land wisely, and we must provide a 21st century infrastructure as a foundation for a 21st century economy. If we are going to have a properly educated workforce, we must ensure more successful educational outcomes. At the very least, we should achieve grade level proficiency and graduate our young people. We're not getting this done well enough in LA County. The LA Unified School District, which serves about 24 of our 88 cities, has a dropout rate estimated somewhere between 1/3 and 50%. We need to establish and promote a business-friendly environment if we want to attract and retain good-paying jobs. There are extraordinary assets here. This is one of the largest consumer markets in the world. We have world-class research universities, unparalleled connections to the global economy, sophisticated infrastructure systems, though aging, though strained by the level of economic activity. They are well developed throughout this region, and there's a reason that we have become the 19th largest economy. But we used to be higher ranked than 19th, and if we want to remain in the top 20, we've got to do quite a bit, not only in terms of the real changes, but in the perceived changes that can be addressed through marketing a new brand for LA County. Quality of life, absolutely essential. A fellow named Richard Florida has written eloquently about the creative class, the class of people who generate new businesses, who are particularly instrumental in the innovation sectors of our economy. These folks have options. They can live anywhere in the world, and so we have to create a friendly, inviting, hospitable, attractive, affordable quality of life for these folks to attract and keep them here. So these require the basic essentials: public safety, mobility, healthy living, parks and recreation, culture and artistic amenities. One of the reasons that the city of LA and the urban core of the county of Los Angeles has so underperformed in job creation is because of how we've used our land. This is not unique to the city of LA, but there's some data that has been shared that caused them to rethink their conversion of industrial land that I'll share with you. That city was only ever zoned about 8% of its property for industrial land. Over the last 30 years, they've converted almost 1/3 of that scarce resource to population accommodating uses. And what we mean by population accommodating uses is housing, schools, police and fire facilities, parks, libraries, all the things that you provide people when they're born in your community, when they come to your community. As your population expands, there are certain basic things you have to provide. We think one of the basic things you have to provide is a job, or a place where a job can be created. And not only did we fail to do that in that planning, but we took a third of the land on which some of the best middle-class jobs had existed away to build the housing and housing-related elements of the community. And so middle-class jobs have been leaking out of our economy for years. If we want to continue to grow our entertainment industry, as well as manufacturing, transportation, warehousing, logistics, construction, all great paths to middle-class jobs, we need to have an industrial land base. As I go visit in Asia or Europe or other places around the world to try and encourage companies to come here, and I spent 18 months recruiting BYD here, companies are telling me that they've heard about our reputation, and they're using acronyms I'd never heard of. We all know the NIMBY acronym. I did not know the BANANA acronym or the CAVE acronym. BANANA, I asked them, what does that stand for? They said, build absolutely nothing anywhere near anybody. And cave people, I said, we're cave people, what does that mean? And they said, it stands for citizens against virtually everything. And I thought, you know, we're digging ourselves a very deep hole when that becomes our reputation. If we're not being reasonable about what should be developed in our communities, developers have other choices of where to deploy their capital. The final area that people articulated was a profound need to provide 21st century infrastructure for a 21st century economy. Fixing the broken development process, one that has given too much weight to interests immediately surrounding a piece of infrastructure and not really giving voice to the broader regional impacts of that infrastructure. At the ports, they were very specific that at the ports and along the goods movement corridors, there needs to be green growth, growth that enables the creation of these hundreds of thousands of existing and hundreds of thousands of projected future jobs associated with the movement of goods through this region. When our ports bring in more than 40% of all the waterborne cargo into America, that creates hundreds of thousands of jobs. And as trade volumes rebound, and by the way, they have been for each of the last 5 months, as that trade activity recovers, it will create significant numbers of jobs again, but we want to make sure those jobs don't overwhelm our communities with the emissions impact. So responsible green growth is absolutely essential. Energy, clean and affordable energy is absolutely essential. And sometimes working at cross purposes. Cleaner energy is more expensive energy, so we have some work to do to keep it affordable while weaning ourselves off of fossil fuels. Water, similarly, clean, affordable, reliable supplies of water are absolutely essential. A world-class ground transportation network for a region of 10.5 million people, a county of 10.5 million people, a region of nearly 20 million people, is obviously essential. Measure R is an example of extraordinary personal responsibility by the people of LA County to tax themselves a half cent on sales for the next 30 years to build the public transit and highway systems that will be needed to give us a world-class system. Waste handling, as the population grows, becomes an increasing challenge, and communications networks, both wired and wireless, for a 21st century digital and information-based economy is absolutely essential. And so we are designing performance measures so that all of you, the stakeholders in our communities, can not only follow but monitor our progress. And there are 3 things we're asking of everybody initially as we roll out this 5-year plan, and that is to endorse the plan, to download the endorsement document and fill it out on your individual behalf as a stakeholder in our communities or on behalf of one of your organizations. Take it to an organization meeting and say, these are principles that 1,050 stakeholder organizations came together to create. I think our stakeholder organization should be supporting this effort. Let the people in your family, in your community, in your neighborhood, in your business, in your faith-based organizations know that there is a plan where people are stepping forward as stewards of their community like never before to ensure a more broadly shared prosperity, a more vigorous, vital, sustainable economy for our future. As you have opportunities to communicate with federal, state, or local officials, don't be shy about asking them about this plan. We've supplied every one of them with the full plan and a letter from us asking for their help. I am personally meeting with all of the members of our congressional delegation and state delegation from LA County, and with as many of I will meet with all the councils of government and as many of the individual cities as will meet with me. We will make sure that they are all aware of the plan, but they will, in many cases, look to all of you to ensure that you have as much enthusiasm for the implementation of the plan as you did for the creation of the plan. And so an advocacy role will be helpful so that we can get really a unanimous vote of support throughout our region for moving forward on this. And this is critical because, as I said, California ranks dead last among states as a place to do business. That will change by virtue of this plan. Recovery will come to regions who have done the work to earn that recovery, who have created hospitable environments in which investment will be attracted and encouraged. We want to get our fair share of that recovery, but that requires all of us in this room today to do our part to earn it. Thank you for giving me so much time this morning to talk about it, and we hope that you'll all be part of implementing this first ever consensus plan for strategic economic development in LA County's history. Thank you all very much.